The 70s gas crisis had a huge effect on car manufacturers in the United States. Overnight, gas prices increased, causing car manufacturers to scramble together more fuel-efficient models to meet the new demand. Long gone were the high-horsepower muscle cars of the 60s, and only a few models remained to try to overcome the crisis. And the outcome is what many consider to be the worst muscle cars of any decade. But is all this hate justified? I don't think so. So today we're counting down the top 10 best muscle cars of the 70s gas crisis. So first off the list is the AMC AMX. This car has nothing in common with the AMX from the 60s. For example, this one has a back seat and it's quite a bit slower. What AMC did was take the AMC Hornet, add a V8, wide body flares, a ducktail spoiler, window louvers, and decals to market it as the new AMX. And while this is a very unique car, its main drawback was its speed, because even by 70s standards, this car was slow. At number 9 on the list is the Chevy Nova SS. Not a lot of people know about the 4th Gen SS, so let me give you the rundown. It's a 4th generation Nova with a 350 V8, custom grille, rally wheels, and an SS badge. There's also other changes, but those are the most notable ones. And yeah, there was more Novas made after this, but a lot of Chevy fans consider this to be the last true Nova. Because the 5th generation Nova was made in Japan by Toyota, and it didn't have much in common with the previous generations. The next car on the list is the Plymouth Roadrunner. Plymouth did a pretty good job keeping the Roadrunner alive during the gas crisis, being one of the few cars available with a 4-barrel carb and a dual exhaust. And because Plymouth still had the trademark on the Roadrunner horn, this car came with one of those as well. Unfortunately, this would be the last style of Roadrunner we got because they were completely discontinued in 1980. At number 7 on the list is the Chevy Laguna S3. After the Chevelle had great success in NASCAR, Chevy decided to introduce a street version of the race car. It had custom gauges, rally wheels, and an aerodynamic nose cone similar to the one used on the race version. The big block 454 was also available, and when paired with the 4-speed manual transmission, it made this a very fun car for the streets. Next up is the Oldsmobile 442. Very similar to the Laguna, you can definitely see the similarities in the front end. The 442, however, had a very recognizable name, unlike the Laguna that had just recently been released. So despite being an Oldsmobile, the sales were pretty close to the same as the Chevy. It just seems like everyone in the 70s wanted to pull up, hop out of swivel bucket seats with 442 stamped right on the door. At number 5 is the Ford Mustang King Cobra. Often made fun of because of its speed, the King Cobra instead had a focus on handling and road courses, having stiffer springs, adjustable shocks, and functional brake cooling ducts. And while I might be a little biased, I do consider this to be the best Mustang of its generation. Be sure to check out the videos we did with our '78 King Cobra. The Pontiac Can-Am comes in at number 4. Despite being based on the Le Mans, the Can-Am had a lot more in common with the Trans Am, both sharing the same wheels and shaker hood scoop. But while the Trans Am came in all colors, the Can-Am only came in white, with orange, yellow, and red stripes. It also had its own custom ducktail spoiler, which ultimately led to its demise. The story goes that a factory worker dropped the mold for the spoiler, and Pontiac decided it would be cheaper to stop production of the car instead of trying to fix the mold. And with only 1,400 produced, they stopped production. The next car is the Ford Gran Torino. Made for an older crowd, the Gran Torino didn't have any flashy decals and was only available in a range of colors. There was also a luxury version called the Elite Package. But if you wanted performance, it was available with the 460 big block and Police Interceptor suspension. Speaking of police, some of you might recognize this as the car from Starsky and Hutch. At number 2 is the Z28 Camaro. This is the car responsible for the first time Camaros outsold the Mustang. Over 280,000 Camaros were sold in 1979, and a quarter of them were Z28s. So it's safe to say this was a very popular car in the 70s. And unlike most cars of the 70s that were forgotten about after a few years, the Z28 still remains a fan favorite. Before we show the final car, consider subscribing. We make all sorts of muscle car content and we'd love to have you a part of the channel. And if you're enjoying this video specifically, be sure to hit that like button, it really helps us out. And now for the final car, the Pontiac Trans Am. This is the first car that probably popped into your head when thinking about late 70s muscle cars. Its super iconic looks like the eagle on the hood, shaker hood scoop, and snowflake wheels are all super recognizable, probably because of all the screen time this car got, having appearances in the Rocky franchise, and of course Smokey and the Bandit. And because of all that popularity, plus beautiful styling, we put the Trans Am at the #1 spot. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.